I use wireless workbench a lot being an A2, and a lot of times it saves you with watching things and keeping up with any kind of interferences and to deploy frequencies. Workbench isn't something that we always use. If there is a large quantity of frequencies within like 2 to 300 frequencies that you need, we'll use another program called IAS that is good for that because you can get a little bit more critique with the way these frequencies interact with each other, but use all the tools you can, I guess. It's almost just important communicating with the venue as to give them the frequencies that you've coordinated as well. That way they know what not to use. We usually use the wideband active antennas. A lot of the newer stuff is incorporating antenna distribution like systems into their base stations now.
There are several different
Helical.
antennas out there. Yeah, I think mainly what we do is it's just like a microphone. It's like a directional microphone. You're trying to figure out which direction am I trying to pick up from, and which direction am I trying to reject. In the case of an omni element, it's the same thing with the antennas. It is just an antenna that will pick stuff up from every direction. It kind of depends what you're trying to avoid and what you're trying to pick up. The other thing that clients, their big thing is, I don't want to see any of this. So it just like a lav mic, where am I going to put these antennas that they're not obstructing people's views? I don't have a big Shure paddle, right in the middle of a screen that everybody's looking at, So there's a lot to it, and there are plenty of resources online to educate yourself, different types of antennas and what they're good for and what they're not good for. We have several different models and types of antennas that we can implement. The one that I was fascinated by most recently, it's a big rubber circular mat that goes on the floor. It can be walked on, can be stood on, and it's basically, its pickup pattern is a dome around itself. So you could put it under a stage as long as the stage isn't going to interfere. You could put it on top of the stage, and now your person on the microphone is, within this pattern, yet this thing is sitting on the floor instead of being on a mic stand in front of somebody's, blocking somebody's view. Fascinating stuff. There are plenty of different designs out there.
Also on the antenna subject, video walls, if that video wall is in between an antenna and a microphone that's active, the video wall will throw it off. So you have to worry about things that are going to interfere with these antennas as well, just to keep in mind.
Comm is all about organization. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
With Intercom, that will set the tone for how the rest of the technical portion of the show goes. If Intercom is not correct the first time everybody sits down and gets on it, that will very easily attribute to the attitude for the rest of the event. It doesn't matter if video looks great. It doesn't matter if the lighting is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. If nobody has faith that the comm system's going to work, you have a much larger attitude problem now from the very beginning, from that very first rehearsal, from whenever it first gets on.
They lose faith in the audio department. All of a sudden they think that you don't know what you're doing.
I feel like fail stories are just as good as successful stories. One of my first big shows, I had to do wireless and comm, and we're getting ready for rehearsals, and it was a scramble for me to set everything up. We were low on time, and I remember there was a line. I had 16 wireless mics, and I had 12 women getting ready to come up and get headset mic'd. And I remember the first person that keyed in on an RTS system, as soon as they keyed in, instant feedback, because the gain and the side tone was too loud. The second person keyed in and instant feedback. And luckily I had a young lady there that was an awesome person at miking people up, that kind of bailed me out of that situation so I could run over there and start bringing the side tone back on these comms. But it was absolute chaos, and I've never been more terrified in my life. But I learned that it's okay to take your time to go back and make sure these comms are going to be good. There's no buzzes, there's no quiet people, there's no feedback. I feel like that is super important as much as anything, if not more.
On smaller events where sometimes time is limited, labor is limited, and setting up comm is kind of looked upon as the last thing you do on the load-in. And you might give that responsibility to a stagehand, give him half a dozen cables and say, go hook this up. And it's not until everybody gets on it and realizes that there's an issue, a comm sound check prior to any presenters being there, I think is critical.
On the larger comm systems, I like to actually do a complete comm breakout and a distribution and make sure that you have an audio line, a lighting line, a video line. I mean, of course, video is always going to have, you don't want to hear cameras the whole time on the production line, but it's just, it's so important to be organized, but it's really all about signal flow.
We are Capital Stage Techs. Capital Stage Techs is the only company specifically focused on the education and training of all aspects of the AV professional. Through our wide array of live, hands-on workshops and webinars, we provide the technical knowledge, customer service and ethics skills, and industry-specific hygiene standards that are essential qualities for today's production staff, from the entry-level stagehand to production management and specialist roles. Capital Stage Techs also designs custom training programs specifically tailored to meet our clients' unique needs. Capital Stage Techs, training the next generation of AV professionals.